Picture this: the most celebrated actress of our time, 21 Oscar nominations, 3 golden statues on her mantle. A woman who has portrayed queens, witches, and iron ladies with equal grace. But behind the cameras, behind the red carpets, and standing ovations, Meryl Streep's heart has been quietly writing its own script. A script of loss, loneliness, and now, unexpected love at 75. When most Hollywood legends are content with their legacy, Meryl is penning a new chapter. One that involves wedding bells, Shakespeare, and a love story that began in the most unlikely place. The year was 2023. Meryl had been a widow for 3 years. Don Gummer, her husband of 45 years, had passed away in 2020. The man who had been her anchor, her constant companion through decades of Hollywood chaos, was gone. "I don't know who I am without him," she had whispered to a close friend during those dark months. The house in Connecticut felt too big, too quiet. The Oscar statues seemed to mock her from their shelf. What good was all the acclaim when the person who mattered most wasn't there to share it? Her children worried. Mamie, Louisa, Henry, and Grace watched their mother retreat into herself. The woman who had breathed life into countless characters was slowly fading from her own story. But fate has a way of surprising us. When we least expect it, it was at a private dinner party in the Hamptons. Summer 2023. The kind of gathering where Alisters let their guards down and pretend to be normal people eating overpriced seafood. Kenneth Branagh was there, the Belfast director, the man who had brought Shakespeare to the masses and made Agatha Christie cool again. He had been divorced from Emma Thompson for decades. His marriage to Lindsay Branagh had ended quietly 2 years earlier. At 63, he was also navigating the strange waters of late-life solitude. They found themselves seated next to each other. 2 titans of their craft, both a little lost, both a little lonely. "I've always wondered," Kenneth said, cutting into his lobster, "with surgical precision, how you make crying look so effortless on screen." Meryl laughed, the first genuine laugh she'd had in months. "Practice," she said. "Lots and lots of practice." They talked about everything that night: Shakespeare and Sondheim, the weight of expectations, the price of perfection, the way grief sits in your chest like a stone that never quite dissolves. Kenneth had lost his father recently. The pain was fresh, raw. He understood the way sorrow could steal your appetite for life. By the end of the evening, they were the last ones at the tea table. The candles had burned low. The other guests had filtered away into the night. "Would you like to take a walk?" Kenneth asked. They strolled along the beach. 2 legends in designer clothes, talking like teenagers discovering the world for the first time. The next day, Kenneth sent her a handwritten note. Not an email, not a text. An actual letter, written in elegant cursive on cream-colored paper. "Dear Meryl," it began. "Last night reminded me why I fell in love with storytelling in the first place. Thank you for reminding me that the best stories are the ones we live, not just the ones we tell." She kept that letter in her jewelry box, next to Don's wedding ring and the pearl earrings her mother had given her. They began meeting for coffee, then lunch, then long walks through Central Park, where no one recognized them behind their sunglasses and baseball caps. Kenneth made her laugh. Really laugh. The kind of deep, belly-shaking laughter that she thought had died with Don. He told her stories from his Shakespeare days. The time he forgot his lines during Hamlet and improvised an entire soliloquy that the critics called brilliant. She shared her fears about aging in Hollywood. The way directors look through her now, searching for the next young face, the next fresh voice. "Age is just another character to play," Kenneth said one afternoon as they fed pigeons in Washington Square Park. "And you, my dear, are the greatest character actress who ever lived." Their friendship deepened through the fall of 2023. Kenneth would send her flowers every Friday. Not roses. Never roses. He sent her peonies, her favorite, even when they were out of season and cost a fortune. Meryl started cooking again, something she hadn't done since Don's passing. She made Kenneth her famous apple pie, the recipe she'd learned from her mother. In New Jersey, before the world knew her name, he ate 3 slices and asked for the recipe. "It's a family secret," she said, smiling. "Am I family?" he asked, his blue eyes twinkling with mischief. The question hung in the air like morning mist, dangerous and beautiful and full of possibility. By Christmas, they were inseparable. Kenneth spent the holidays with Meryl and her children. He helped Henry with his acting career, gave notes on Mamie's screenplay, made Grace laugh until she snorted eggnog. The family that had been broken by grief was slowly healing. Kenneth wasn't trying to replace Don. He was writing himself into their story as a different character entirely. On New Year's Eve, as fireworks exploded over Manhattan, Kenneth took Meryl's hand. "I have a confession," he said. She braced herself. In Hollywood, confessions were rarely good news. "I've been carrying this ring around for 2 months," he said, pulling out a simple platinum band. "Not because I was planning to propose, but because every time I look at you, I think about forever." Meryl stared at the ring. It wasn't a diamond. It was a sapphire. Her birthstone. Kenneth, ... "I'm not asking you to forget, Don," he said quickly. "I'm asking you to remember what it feels like to be loved, completely, unconditionally. For whatever time we have left." She said yes before he finished speaking. The wedding was planned for May 2024. Small, intimate, just family and a few close friends, but word leaked to the press in March. The headlines were brutal. Streep's shocking new love. The Devil Wears wedding dress. Branagh steals America's sweetheart. The paparazzi camped outside Meryl's house. He followed Kenneth to his favorite coffee shop. They tried to interview the children, the neighbors, even the mailman. "This is insane," Meryl said, pacing her. "Living room like a caged animal. We're not teenagers. We're senior citizens in love. Why is that scandalous?" Kenneth held her as she cried, tears of frustration and anger and fear. "Because," he said softly, "people need fairy tales. Even if they pretend they don't. The idea that love can find you at any age, in any circumstances, ... It gives them hope." The wedding took place on May 15, 2024, in Meryl's backyard in Connecticut. The same backyard where she and Don had raised their children, hosted barbecues, and built a life together. Kenneth wore a simple navy suit. Meryl chose a cream-colored dress that she'd bought off the rack at Nordstrom. No designer gown, no red carpet entrance. Just 2 people promising to love each other for whatever time they had left. Louisa officiated. She had gotten ordained online specifically for the occasion. Her voice cracked as she spoke about second chances and the courage it takes to love again. "Do you, Kenneth, take Meryl to be your wife, to love her in sickness and health, in good times and bad, for as long as you both shall live?" "I do," he said, his Irish accent thick with emotion. "Do you, Meryl, take Kenneth to be your husband? To love him in sickness and health, in good times and bad, for as long as you both shall live?" Meryl looked out at her children, at Don's empty chair, decorated with peonies in his memory, at Kenneth's kind eyes and patient smile. "I do," she whispered. They honeymooned in Ireland. Kenneth showed her the village where he grew up, the theater where he performed his first Shakespeare, the pub where his father taught him to appreciate good whiskey and bad jokes. Meryl felt like a young woman again, not because she was pretending to be someone she wasn't, but because Kenneth saw her completely. The actress, the mother, the widow, the woman still figuring out who she wanted to be. They spent hours walking the Irish countryside. Kenneth reciting poetry, Meryl practicing accents for her next role. Two artists still passionate about their craft, now passionate about each other. When they returned to New York, they faced the media circus together, hand in hand. United. The interviews were endless. Everyone wanted to know about their love story. How they met, when they knew. What Don would think. Whether they planned to work together. Don would want me to be happy, Meryl said during her appearance on Stephen Colbert. He was the most generous man I ever knew. He wouldn't want me to spend my remaining years alone clutching his memory like a life raft. Kenneth announced his next project in September, a film adaptation of The Tempest with himself as Prospero. The role of Miranda went to a young actress. But he created a new character specifically for Meryl, the wise woman, the keeper of stories, the one who helps everyone else find their happy ending. It's perfect, Meryl said when she read the script. A woman who's lived through storms and found peace on the other side. They're filming now, in the same studio, where Meryl shot The Devil Wears Prada nearly 2 decades ago. Between takes, Kenneth brings her tea. She adjusts his costume. They whisper jokes that make the crew smile and remember why they love working in this crazy business. At night, they go home to their apartment overlooking Central Park. Kenneth cooks, Meryl sets the table. They eat dinner by candlelight and talk about their days like any married couple, except they're not any married couple. They're two legends who found each other when they least expected it. Two people who proved that love doesn't have an expiration date. Two artists who are still writing their greatest masterpiece, the story of their life together. The critics said it would never work. The age gap, the different backgrounds, the weight of their previous relationships. But love doesn't read reviews. Love doesn't care about demographics or public opinion. Love just is. And sometimes, if you're very lucky, love finds you twice. Meryl Streep and Kenneth Branagh have been married for 9 months now. 9 months of learning each other's rhythms. 9 months of building something beautiful from the ashes of their separate griefs. She's working on her memoir. He's planning their first joint directing project. They're talking about buying a house in Ireland. Somewhere quiet where they can garden and read and grow old together without the world watching. I never thought I'd have this again, Meryl confessed in a recent interview. This feeling of being completely known by another person, Kenneth sees. Me? Not the actress, not the icon, just ... me. And what he sees, she added with a smile that could power Manhattan, he seems to like quite a lot. Their love story reminds us that it's never too late. Never too late to take chances. Never too late to say yes. Never too late to believe in happy endings. Even at 75. Even after loss. Even when the world thinks they know your story. Sometimes. The best chapter is the one you never saw coming. The one that starts with once upon a time. Two hearts found each other again. And if you're wondering whether fairy tales can come true in real life, just look at Meryl Streep and Kenneth Branagh. To people who proved that love is the greatest performance of all. And unlike the movies, this one doesn't have to end. What do you think about second chances at love? Have you ever found happiness when you least expected it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story of unexpected romance, make sure to subscribe for more tales from the heart of Hollywood, because everyone deserves a love story, even if it comes later than you planned.